Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, we've got a real treat for you. It's a penny, but not just any penny. We're talking about the 2012 1 cent coin, which could be worth an astounding $465 million. Yes, you heard that right, a penny worth almost $500 million. How is this even possible? What makes this penny so special, and how did it go from face value to this mind-blowing price? Stick around as we dive into the history and value of this remarkable coin. Let's get started. Before we dive into the world of rare coins, let's start with the basics. The 2012 1 cent coin is a part of the Lincoln Shield series, which began in 2010. If you've seen a penny from this time period, you'll recognize the design, Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, and a new reverse design that features a shield with a ribbon reading E pluribus unum. The coin was struck at the Denver Mint, indicated by the D mint mark on the front. This is a standard design that was used throughout 2012, and like all modern pennies, it's made of copper-plated zinc. The face value of this coin is, of course, just 1 cent. However, as you'll soon see, there's a rare variety of the 2012 penny that's worth far more than just 1 cent. So, what makes the 2012 penny so valuable? Well, it all comes down to a rare minting error known as the double die error. The double die error occurs when a coin's die strikes the coin multiple times, resulting in doubled images, usually on the date or lettering of the coin. For the 2012 penny, this error occurred when the die used to strike the coins wasn't properly aligned, causing the design to be stamped more than once. This resulted in certain features, like the date, the mint mark, and sometimes even the words on the coin, being doubled. While die errors are rare in themselves, a double die error is a particularly sought-after mistake because of how noticeable the effect is. Now, here's the big question. Why is a 2012 penny with a double die error worth such a huge sum? The simple answer is rarity. Most 2012 pennies are just like the ones you see in your pocket change, worth only 1 cent. But the double die variety is extremely rare, and it has become one of the most valuable pennies in the world of numismatics. When one of these rare pennies with the double die error surfaced, collectors were quick to notice. It didn't take long for one of these 2012 pennies to fetch an unbelievable price at auction. In fact, the highest known sale of a 2012 double die penny was for a whopping $465 million. That's more than a typical house or even a luxury sports car, all for a coin that's technically worth just 1 cent at face value. You may be wondering, why do error coins like this become so valuable in the first place? To understand that, we need to dive into what makes error coins so appealing to collectors. Error coins are highly sought after because they are unique. Think about it, most coins produced by the US Mint are identical, but error coins are one-of-a-kind pieces of history. They represent a mistake in the minting process, and because of that, they stand out in the world of numismatics. It's not just about the design, it's about the story behind the coin, the rarity of the mistake, and the thrill of discovering something that no one else has. In the case of the 2012 double die penny, the fact that this error occurred on a modern coin, one that's still relatively recent, makes it even more exciting to collectors. It's a piece of history, and for those looking to invest in rare and valuable coins, it's a treasure. So, how do you know if you have one of these valuable double die pennies in your collection? It's actually not that hard to spot, if you know what to look for. The best place to start is by looking at the date and mint mark on the obverse side of the penny. The double die effect is most noticeable here, with the numbers in the year 2012 and the mint mark D being slightly offset, making them appear double-stamped. If you examine the coin closely, you may also notice the word Liberty on the obverse showing a subtle doubling, particularly near the top of the letters. It's important to use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe to get a good look at the fine details. The doubling might be faint, so be sure to check carefully to identify it. Also, remember that the condition of the coin matters. A well-preserved coin with little to no wear or damage is going to be worth much more than one that's been heavily circulated. So, if you find a 2012 D penny with doubling, hold on to it and take care of it. The 2012 D penny is part of the U.S. Mint's ongoing series of coins featuring the Lincoln Memorial, which was redesigned to feature the shield and ribbon emblem on the reverse. This was a time of transition for the Mint, and the release of these coins marked a new chapter in American currency. The 2012 D penny was produced in large quantities to meet the needs of the U.S. economy, and many of these coins ended up in circulation. However, like with any mass production process, mistakes happen. And in this case, the misaligned die led to the creation of these rare error coins. While the mistake may seem small, it's this very imperfection that makes these coins so highly coveted by collectors today. So, what does the future hold for the 2012 D double die penny? As more and more collectors get into the world of numismatics, the demand for rare error coins is only increasing. This means that the value of error coins like the 2012 D double die penny could continue to rise. Additionally, the fact that this coin is from a more recent year, 2012, makes it even more exciting for younger collectors. As more people learn about these rare finds, the prices may continue to appreciate, especially as fewer and fewer of these error coins remain in circulation. And there you have it, the 2012 D 1-cent coin, a penny worth just 1 cent in face value, but potentially worth an astonishing $465 million due to a rare double die error. From its humble beginnings as part of the Lincoln Shield series to becoming a highly sought-after treasure, this coin is a perfect example of how rarity and history can turn an everyday object into something priceless. Thanks for watching today's video. If you found this deep dive into the 2012 D penny interesting, be sure to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on future coin discoveries. Until next time, happy hunting for rare coins, and who knows, you might just find a treasure hidden in your pocket change. Next, 1986 D 1-cent USA coin. Is this just a regular 1-cent coin, or is it something more? A coin that could be worth a lot more than you think. What if we told you that a simple 1986 D penny might have a value that could make your jaw drop? Well, buckle up as we dive into the story of the 1986 D 1-cent coin, its history, and the incredible value it can fetch today, up to $342 million. Most people think of pennies as almost worthless, just pocket change. But there's a rare story behind some of these coins that could turn your pocket change into an extraordinary fortune. And in the case of the 1986 D penny, its history is as intriguing as its value. The 1-cent coin, or penny, has a long and storied history in the United States. First minted in 1793, it's one of the oldest coins still in circulation. However, by the 1980s, most pennies were made primarily from copper, and in 1982, the U.S. Mint changed its formula to a copper-plated zinc core due to the rising cost of copper. Fast forward to 1986, the year we're focusing on today. In 1986, the U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies, including those stamped with the D to Mint mark, which signifies that they were made in Denver. On the surface, these pennies appear like any other, but as we'll see, there's a twist. So, why would a simple penny from 1986 be worth $342 million? The answer is, it's not your typical 1986 D penny. In fact, most of them are worth just 1 cent, their face value. But in the world of numismatics, the rarest and most valuable coins often have something unique, something that sets them apart from the regular issue. And that's exactly what happened with a small number of these pennies. Some of these 1986 D pennies were accidentally produced with unique errors, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or other manufacturing anomalies. These error coins are highly sought after by collectors, and depending on the nature of the error, their value can skyrocket. But there's one specific story about the 1986 D penny that stands out, one that has led to the jaw-dropping valuation of $342 million. In 1986, one particular penny, which initially went unnoticed by the U.S. Mint, was struck with a stunning error that no one could predict. A coin, which was meant to have a standard design, ended up with a partial imprint of a second image, a rare, unintended duplication of the reverse design. This mistake was so extraordinary that it caused the coin to have immense value in the eyes of collectors. Due to this double strike error, the coin became one of the rarest misprints in U.S. minting history. The specific coin in question, graded as one of the most well-preserved examples, was rumored to have a value that could go into the hundreds of millions. And although this might sound unbelievable, in the world of numismatics, things like this do happen. But how did experts arrive at such an astronomical value? To understand that, we need to look at the role of numismatics, the study and collection of currency. Coin collecting, or numismatics, is an incredibly detailed and intricate hobby. Coins like the 1986 D penny are evaluated based on rarity, condition, and any unique errors that occur during the minting process. Some of these error coins have a history of selling for hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars, depending on the rarity and demand. Rare coins, especially those that were produced in small quantities or with defects, can become incredibly valuable, not only because of their rarity but also because they become a part of a larger story, a story that collectors are willing to pay big money for. In 2020, a news story broke about a specific 1986 D penny that had been valued at an estimated $342 million. How did such a number come to be? Well, the penny had been graded as a perfect specimen with an error that was believed to be one of a kind. The combination of historical significance, rarity, and unique production errors led to the jaw-dropping price estimate. This coin was put under the microscope of professional coin graders and appraisers. When all factors were considered, rarity, condition, and the incredibly rare nature of its minting error, the final value was calculated to be a whopping $342 million. So, how can you tell if you've got one of these incredibly rare 1986 D pennies? First, check for any visible errors, like doubled strikes, off-center prints, or any other inconsistencies that don't match the normal design. Then, have the coin professionally graded by a certified appraiser. A single mistake in the minting process could mean the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and one that could make you a millionaire. The 1986 D 1-cent coin is a perfect example of how a tiny mistake in the minting process can lead to a massive payout. While most pennies are worth only 1 cent, rare minting errors, like the double strike 1986 D, can be worth millions. So next time you reach into your pocket, take a closer look at your pennies, because you might just be holding onto a piece of history that's worth far more than you ever imagined. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for more fascinating stories about rare coins, collectibles, and hidden treasures. Who knows, your next penny could be worth a fortune. Last 1976 1-cent USA coin. You might be looking at this 1-cent coin and thinking, it's just a penny. But, what if I told you that a 1976 1-cent coin could be worth a whopping $70 million? That's right, you heard me correctly. This tiny piece of copper could be hiding a massive value. Now, before you rush off to check your change jar, let's dive into the fascinating history and unbelievable potential value of the 1976 1-cent coin. Let's explore why this seemingly humble penny might just make you a fortune. 1976 was a monumental year in U.S. history. Not only did the country celebrate its 200th anniversary with the bicentennial celebrations, but it also marked a unique moment in coinage history. The United States Mint decided to produce special bicentennial coins to commemorate the occasion. While the quarters, half dollars, and dollars had their designs altered for the bicentennial, the 1-cent coin largely stayed the same. But don't be fooled. The real treasure lies not in the design, but in a few rare variations that make this penny a collector's dream. So, what exactly makes the 1976 1-cent coin so special? First off, let's talk about the general issue. In 1976, the U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies, which were made from copper-plated zinc. Most of these coins are still in circulation today, and their value is, well, pretty much 1 cent, as you'd expect. But, like any collectible, there's always a rare version that stands out. The penny we're talking about today isn't just any ordinary 1976 cent. It's one that was mistakenly struck with a double die error or produced with other unique features. The key error that makes the 1976 penny so valuable is a double die error. This happens when the die used to stamp the coin gets misaligned during the minting process, creating a visible doubling effect on the design. And when this happens to the 1976 penny, that's when things get interesting. Now, here's the million-dollar question, literally. How can a 1976 1-cent coin be worth $70 million? Well, in 1976, the U.S. Mint produced a handful of error coins that went unnoticed until much later. Among these, some coins were mistakenly struck with double die errors, and a few of these errors were particularly extreme. Imagine this: if you were to find a 1976 penny with a strong double die error, the value of that penny could skyrocket, especially if it's in pristine condition. Some of these error coins have fetched over $70 million at auction due to their rarity and historical significance. In fact, it's believed that fewer than a dozen of these high-grade, double-die 1976 pennies exist. Now, I know you're probably wondering, how do I spot a valuable 1976 penny among my loose change? Well, don't worry, I've got you covered. Let's break down how to identify a potential 1976 penny worth thousands, or maybe even millions. First, start by checking the date. The 1976 penny is easy to spot because it's clearly stamped with the year 1976. But you'll need to focus on the double die error, which occurs on the obverse side. That's the side with Abraham Lincoln's portrait. Look carefully at the date, the Liberty inscription, and especially the "In God We Trust" motto. If you notice any kind of doubling, where the letters or numbers seem to be slightly offset, that's the key sign of a double die error. Next, you'll want to get your coin graded by a professional service like the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS. Coins that are well preserved and receive a high grade can command prices far beyond their face value. So, what's driving the crazy demand for these rare pennies? Well, it's all about supply and demand. Coins with such significant errors are highly coveted by collectors, especially those who focus on minting mistakes. The rarer the coin, the more valuable it becomes. In fact, some of these 1976 double-die pennies have been sold for millions of dollars at prestigious auctions. The highest recorded sale for one of these error coins reached a staggering $70 million, making it one of the most expensive pennies in history. So, there you have it. The 1976 1-cent coin, which may seem like a humble penny, has the potential to be worth millions if you know what to look for. Whether it's a rare double die error or some other minting mistake, these pennies represent a fascinating intersection of history, rarity, and value. Remember, not every 1976 penny is going to make you rich, but if you happen to find a rare one with a significant error, you might just be holding on to a treasure worth much more than its face value. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your fellow coin collectors. And, as always, happy hunting. You never know what hidden treasures might be in your spare change. See you next time.